Bhajanitai Gaura Radheshyam Japo Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Bhajanitai Gaura Radheshyam Japo Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Jai Mahavira Radha Raman Jai Nitai Jai Gaur Jai Jai Sri Radheshyam.
Jay Sri Radheshyam and welcome. Namaste Gurudevaya Sarvasiddhi Pradayane Sarvamangala Rupaya Sarvananda Vidyayane. Jai Guru Shri Guru Jai Guru Shri Guru Jai Guru Shri Guru Shri Radharaman Charandas Devaki Jai Jai Nitai Jai Gaur Jai Jai Sri Radheshyam. Sita Thakurani. The wife of Advaita, Sita Thakurani, was a woman who, like her husband, lived a long life. It appears that after marrying Sita, Advaita moved to Shantipur. Nevertheless, most biographies of Chaitanya tell that she was present at his birth ceremonies and was even responsible for giving him the nickname Nimai. It is said that she took some leadership responsibility after the death of her husband, but not much detail can be given about how she conducted herself in such a role. According to the Prema Vilas, Sita had a woman disciple, Jangali, about whom it recounts an interesting legend. It seems that she was fiercely and engaged in solitary devotion, practiced in a jungle that was filled with wild animals like birds, tigers, etc. On one occasion, the Shah of Bengal was hunting in that area and saw her and was attracted by her beauty. When he attempted to rape her, he was surprised to find that she has transformed into a man. The astonished king asked her whether she was a man or a woman. She answered cryptically, "Women see a woman, men see a man, but at no time ever have I been a man." The king remained confused. He sent a woman to examine Jangali and was told that she was indeed a woman. But when he sent a man, he was told she was a man. The astonished king realized that Jangali possessed some extraordinary powers, and he fell at her feet and asked for forgiveness. Demons. After she forgave and blessed him, he built a large residence for her there in the woods, which was known as Jangali Tota. Other women contemporary to Chaitanya, only a few other women contemporary to Chaitanya can be considered as having hagiological status in their own right. Malati Devi was the wife of Chaitanya's associate Srivas Pandit. She had an extraordinary relationship with Nityananda, who treated her like his mother. Though she was past childbearing age, her dried-up breasts brought forth milk when the full-grown Nityananda sat on her lap. Another woman worthy of mentioning is Narayani. Narayani Devi, the mother of Vrindavan Das, author of Chaitanya Bhagavata. She was Srivas Thakur's niece, only a little girl at the time of Chaitanya's Mahaprakash or Great Epiphany, Chaitanya Bhagavata 2:10, 2:29, 35, at which she was present and given special attention by him. Another of Srivas' servants, Dukhi and Happy, was privileged to observe Chaitanya's nightly kirtan. She will bring Ganges water for the Vaishnavas to drink. She thus earned blessings from Chaitanya and was given the name of Sukhi, happy. Oh, interesting. In place of her original name, this appeared on Chaitanya Bhagavata 11.25, 11.23. Interesting, Dukhi and Sukhi were also the names of Shivananda Prabhu. Dukhi Krishna Das, and then he was Sukhi, the happy Krishna Das. Second generation women. 2. Sri Jannava Ishvari, 16th century. Karen Sinclair has observed that though women have attained great prominence in Hindu sects, it is generally as holy mothers or the consorts of male religious adepts, and she gives Sharadi Devi, the consort of Ramakrishna, and Aurobindus, the mother, as modern example. In her view, in such circumstances, women are normally venerated, but their role is circumscribed, as is the case with the Virgin Mary in Christianity. In many places in Asia, widows, daughters, and sisters of martyred political leaders have risen to political prominence. Nowhere is this truer than in South Asia, where such women have risen to the highest political post in 4 countries. Mary Katzenstein, in her analysis of the factors leading to the political prominence of women in India, has concluded that in societies where kingship plays an important role, in the absence of a regularized, stable system whereby succession of political leadership is assured, daughters, widows, or sisters are often called upon to lead. Nevertheless, for any woman to succeed in a role of leadership in such circumstances, it will be necessary that she show qualifications of a more practical sort. Simple relationship could only play a temporary role. Indira Gandhi in India and Sirimavo Bandaranaike in Sri Lanka are particularly salient examples. Most of the early generations of Gaudiya Vaishnava women leaders were similarly related to the early charismatic male leaders of the movement. All these women, who are yet few in number, Jahnava, the wife of Chaitanya's chief associate Nityananda, stands out. A number of reasons might be conjectured for her rise to prominence. She was widowed, it will seem, when still fairly young. She had no children herself, but her nephew and stepson, Nityananda's son, Virabhadra, born of Jahnava's younger sister and co-wife Vasudha, was not yet of an age where he could exercise leadership in the dynastic system that had apparently been envisioned and as appropriate for the continuation of the movement in the absence of another appropriate leader. Jahnava stepped in to fill the leadership void. So the example that Jagadananda is giving here for regarding to politics and women in politics nowadays is that they are taking place in a void where some leader is missing. The women must do this job, or maybe naturally they take this position of leadership. So he's comparing with Jahnava Ma, actually. It is quite clear that Jahnava won respect throughout the Vaishnava communities, as well as constituting a strong influence on her 2 principal disciples, Virabhadra and Ramachandra. She was known as Ishvari, the feminine form of the commonly used word for God, Ishvara. At that very least, the term implies a great mastery over others. Narahari recounts in his Bhakti Ratnakar that Yadunandan Das and the other devotees gathered in Katua as Jahnava made her way to Keturi out of respect, ate only after she had finished her repast. Jahnava and Vasudha were sisters, daughters of a Brahmin scholar, Surya Das Sarkel, and nieces of Gauridas Pandit, both of which brothers were significant devotees of Nityananda and Chaitanya in their own rights. The 2 girls were given in marriage to Nityananda, but Jahnava remained without issue while Vasudha gave birth to 2 children, a girl, Gagha, and a boy, Virabhadra. Jai Ho. Though Jahnava was Virabhadra's stepmother, she played a more significant role in his spiritual development than did his natural mother. One legend is recounted in the Nityananda Vamsha Vistara, in which it is said that Virabhadra was seeking a spiritual master, having been orphaned before receiving initiation from his own father, Nityananda Prabhu. In the course of his search, he approached Sita Thakurani, the wife of Advaita, the 3rd member of the Gaudiya Vaishnava divine Triumvirat. What? 1 second.
Triumvirate.
triumvirate. What is this? Triumvirate. Gaudiya Vaishnava divine triumvirate. She told him that he should seek closer to home, but Virabhadra was not convinced that Jahnava was sufficiently qualified to be his guru. On his return home, however, he saw his stepmother and she was completing her bath. While drying her hair, her wet sari slipped and, in order to conceal her nakedness, she sprouted 2 extra arms to hold up the failing cloth. Virabhadra was impressed by this show of divinity and asked Jahnava to initiate him. Ha! Nectar, sweet, madura. Though some comparable epiphanies are related in legends about Nityananda, there are in a proliferation of such simplistic attempt to legitimizing the divine character of personalities in the later hagiographical histories of Chaitanya Vaishnavism. The Nityananda Vamsa Vistara also recount that Virabhadra, who is also identified as Virabhadra as Ishvara by Krishna Das, Chaitanya Charitamrita 1.11.8. Brothers and sisters, I'm very sorry if I am doing some mistake in pronunciation, more than normal, and some mistake, but my mind and body are tired since I am doing Nirjal Brat for Ekadash in this very moment, so my energy is a bit less than normal, so I apologize for my wrong pronunciation or mistake I'm doing. Please continue watching and let's enjoy this reading. So Virabhadra was pointed as Ishvara by Krishnadas Kaviraj in Chaitanya Charitamrita 1.11.8 and as Kishora Dagashayi Vishnu in the Gaura Ganodesha Dipika, manifested divine forms of this nature on various occasions during his preaching career. Jahnava is not the only woman to have manifested such a 4-armed form. Stories similar to the one recounted above are also told about 2 other women in Gaudiya Vaishnava history. Nityananda's powerful disciple Abhiram Thakur married a Muslim girl, Rami, an act that met with considerable criticism. Though some devotees were prepared to accept her presence in the Vaishnava community, they were certainly not ready to take food, not even prasad, from her hand. They were quieted when Rami sprouted extra arms to hold up the cloth covering her head when it slipped as she was serving. Again, a similar story is told by Haridas, Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidhana 1422, about Hemalata Thakurani, the daughter of the important 3rd generation Gaudiya Vaishnava leader Srinivasacharya. The legend about Hemalata is particularly significant, not so much in its details, but rather in that, as with Jahnava, it confirms her personal authority as guru. Virabhadra was not Jahnava's only important disciple. Other disciples of distinction began with Ramachandra Goswami, grandson of Vamsiva Dananand Thakur, mentioned above in connection with Vishnupriya Devi. Ramachandra was adopted by Jahnava after she gave the benediction to his father that he would have 2 sons. When the second son was born, when Ramachandra was 11 or 12 years old, Jahnava took him to live with her. Ramachandra was given special treatment by his stepmother and guru, and to some extent become a rival to Virabhadra for her favors. Accompanying her on her last trip to Braj, he later founded the Napad branch of Goswamis through his nephew Rajavalabh's family. He himself never married. It would appear that Jahnava had imbibed some of the scholarship of her father and uncle, and it stood her in good stead when she began to take on the role of Nityananda's successor. In Murali Vilasa, Jahnava is described as giving instructions to Ramachandra Goswami in the details of the path of worship, Manjari Bhav Sadhana, outlined by Rupa Goswami. Nevertheless, despite her personal scholarship, she does not seem to have given public discourses on scripture and was even self-effacing when in the association of male devotees. For instance, in Keturi, she did not ascend to the podium with the associate of Chaitanya and Nityananda who were present there. Nor did she do anything more than act as an audience for kirtan. On the other hand, she appears to have liked to cook for large numbers of devotees, herself serving them, and participated directly in the deity worship, at least by offering foodstuffs. At Keturi, she orchestrated many of the activities, such as the greeting, satkar, of the guests. Perhaps Jannava's most significant contribution was to the organization and character of Bengali Vaishnavism as it endeavored to deal with the theological sophistication of the Vrindavan Goswamis. The event at which this took place was the famous Keturi festival already mentioned above, the date of which is still a matter of conjecture, but likely took place in the 1570s. Her role there was to lend approval to the innovations in the practice of kirtan, as well as the theological formulations on the nature of Chaitanya and his incarnations that Narottam and Srinivas Acharya had brought with them from Vrindavan. Jannava, doubtless impressed by the culture of the new leaders of the movement and the learning they had received at the hands of Jiva Goswami, decided to go herself to Braj and witness firsthand the developments that had taken place there. Traveling with a large group of Vaishnavas and being carried in a palanquin that protected her modesty, she led the undoubtedly rather impressive group that made the lengthy pilgrimage, taking between 5 and 6 months to make the trip. She led 5 to 6 months to get from Bengal to Vrindavan. Wow! And we think that a trip by train 40 hours is too much? Krishna. Narahari described an incident that took place in a village in road. The residents of the village were Shandi, worshippers who mocked the group of Vaishnavas when they saw them bowing to Jannava and touching her feet. Considering that by offering respect to Jannava rather than to their local deity of Shandi, the Vaishnavas had committed a great offense, they vowed to slaughter the whole group of travelers. Shandi, however, found this proposal unacceptable and appeared in an angry form to her worshippers in a dream and revealed to them the glories of Jannava, saying, "You rascals! You do not know the truth about her whom you look down upon and whom you have called a mere Brahmin woman. She is the wife of Nityananda Balaram, object of respect even to me and worshipable by all. Her name, Jannavaishvari, is exceedingly sweet. Simply by uttering this name, one can be freed from life's worries. She is the beloved of Nityananda, the incarnation of compassion. She voluntarily distributes loving devotion to Krishna, to the living beings. Whoever worship her lotus feet and sing her glories will be delivered from the threefold sufferings." Shandi concludes by telling the villagers to beg Jannava for forgiveness, which they did. Jannava converted them all to Vaishnavism and stayed for several days in the village before moving on. Another similar miraculous event took place at another village where robbers thought to attack the group. They were unable to find Jannava and her party of travelers despite knowing clearly their location. They too converted to Vaishnavism when they realized that Jannava was divinely protected. Jai Ho! On her way back to home from Braj, Jannava stopped with her entourage at the birthplace of Nityananda in Birbhum. Jai Ho, Jai Ho, Jai Nitai. She made a second and perhaps even a third trip to Braj before the end of her life. Ultimately, dying there. It is said that while still alive, she had an image of Radha made and placed on the right hand side of Gopinath in Vrindavan, Wow! Where an image of Radha already stood on the left. When she died, she is said to have entered into that deity. Thenceforth, when she died, she is said to have entered into that deity, thenceforth known as Ananga Manjari. Jai Ho. Jarnava's apotheosis as Ananga Manjari, the sister of Radha, is perhaps what set her apart from most of other woman saints in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. The Gaura Ganodesha Dipika of Kavi Karnapur identifies her first with Revati, the wife of Balaram in Krishna Lila, by virtue of her being the wife of Nityananda, who is identified with Balaram, but also recognized that Ananga Manjari identification as well. By the way of contrast, though Vishnupriya is identified as Satyabhama, the wife of Krishna in Dwarka, this identification is far less prestigious in the heavily Vrindavan-influenced Gaudiya Vaishnavism of later days than of Jarnava with Ananga Manjari. Wow, beautiful, 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 beautiful. I am happy that I made this reading. I am very happy of making this reading, giving this reading today in Ekadashi. What an auspicious reading. Thanks, brother, wherever you are, for this writing. And to you who is watching this video, I will ask you to do what is correct. You know what is correct? Correct is, if you enjoy my work, give some feedback, support the good things in this world. That bad news and trolls, we have enough. Everyone has enough of that, right? Be part of the light. Give like, subscribe, share on your social media, and of course, I see you in the next. Thank you very much for watching. Sri Gurudevo ki jai, jai nitai, jai gaur, jai jai Sri Radheshyam. Bhajo nitai gaura, Radheshyam, japo Hare Krishna, Hare Ram.
Bhajo nitai gaura, Radheshyam, japo Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Bhajo nitai gaura, Radheshyam, japo Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Jai Mahavira, Radha Raman, Jai Nitai, Jai Gaur, Jai Jai Sri Radheshyam.